Good day everyone, I am your teacher Johanna and today we are going to start our class. But before anything else, let us first have our prayer. Okay, thank you so much Miss Pedobelio. And now, we're going to check your attendance. I believe that everyone in our class are present. Then we're going to set our rules for the class. First, you have to be quiet. Then you have to listen to the teacher and you have to participate actively and we have to maintain a good attitude or character inside our classroom. So before anything else, can anyone recall or remember our lesson yesterday or our previous lesson? Okay, Miss Aya, very good. It was all about capitalization. So now, let's proceed to our new lesson, which is the figures of speech and other literary devices. Okay, so before we proceed to our lesson proper, let us first have our learning objectives. Okay, everyone, I believe that it is visible to you. So first, at the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to, first, define figures of speech and other literary devices in the text. Second, analyze the use of figures of speech and other literary devices. And lastly, you are to write a close analysis and critical interpretation of a literary text. Okay? Can anyone understand? Or does anyone understood our learning objectives? Because at the end of our lesson, we are going to check if any one of you have gathered information and will be able to apply all the learnings you have gathered in our class for today. Okay? To proceed with, let us first have our game. So this game is called Guess the Gibberish or a gibberish game. So I am going to flash a picture and a words scrambled. Then you are going to guess the exact word depicted on the screen. Okay? Very good, Miss Gulam. It is scramble something. Next. Very good, Miss Pino. It's rubbish vocabulary. Okay, next. And the last one, Miss Alfaro, yes, it is very good. Gelatinous vernacular. So you got it right, everyone. So before anything else, to proceed to our lesson proper, first we're going to read about the story of how the world began. And I'm going to give you at least 15 minutes to read the story, and then after that we're going to analyze it one by one. Okay, here you go. Here you go. Thank you so much. Okay, you are given 15 minutes to do so. Okay, time is up. So, after reading the story, we are going to analyze the story. So first, what symbols or metaphors are used in the story and what do they represent? Very good. It was all about how the world began and how everything in this world was created. Very good. Then, next question. What key themes or messages that the story conveys about the origin of the world? Very good. Everything in the world that has been created, there was a creator behind it. Right? You are very good. Then, after reading the text, how did you visualize the world before the creation? Okay, very good, Miss Alfaro. Before everything began or was created, it was all bland and you can see nothing. But after the creation, you can see the stars, the moon, and everything you see here in the present was created. Okay. Thank you for your participation, class. So now let's proceed to our lesson proper. The figures of speech. We are going to identify first the figures of speech. So the figures of speech is also known as figurative language. It creates figure or pictures in the mind of the reader or listener. These pictures help convey the meaning faster and more vividly than words alone. So as you have read and understood in our presentation, figures of speech helps the readers imagine more. It widens our imagination by what? How? So here we have the examples of figures of speech. It is the metaphor, as you have read on the story How the World Began. We have the simile, the personification, and monotony. So when we say simile, in the sentence you will see the word like or as compared to an object. For example, she is beautiful like a rose, right? So, as we can see, figures of speech also expands or makes the story more creative, and the story becomes artistic through putting on the figures of speech stated. So now we also have the flash fiction. So the flash fiction is a style of fictional literature, fiction of extreme brevity. So we have here an example, Angels and Blueberry by Tara Campbell. It's a story which variously explains the color of the sky that involves angels and blueberries. So it depicts or gives us a heavy explanation of something, which gives us more fiction characters or fiction stories along the way. Another example of flash fiction is about Taylor Swift. So now let's proceed to hyperpoetry. So it is a form of digital poetry that uses links using hypertext markup. So as you can see here in our example, the writing to Onegin, when we say hyperpoetry, it is a kind of poetry which is digital in a sense. And that way we can see that in if we look at our laptops, computers, or cell phones, the word depicted or the word flashed on your screen, if it is a hyper poetry, it would be in blue text because of the indication that it is a hyper poetry using hypertext markup. Now let's proceed to other literary devices. So we have the linguistic context. So it is a discourse that surrounds a language unit and helps to determine its interpretation. So when we say linguistic context, by the word, it means that it is where the author expresses his thoughts by writing a story. No, through that he chooses words that properly describes the sentence or any paragraph. In that way, we can see that it helps the readers, no, in expanding their thoughts, and also helps them to expand their vocabulary as well. So next, we have the literary elements. So the literary elements refers to a particular identifiable characteristics of a whole text. So we have here our example, which are the theme, the character, the setting, the conflict, and the point of view. So in our literary elements, it helps the reader not just to expand his or her imagination, but it helps him to puzzle up the things in the story. So we have here the theme, the character, the setting, the conflict, and the POV of the author. Now let's proceed to literary genre. So the literary genre is a category composition. It may be determined by literary technique, the tone, the content, or even as in the case of fiction length. Okay? So we have here an example of the literary genre. So we have the epic, the tragedy, comedy, and creative nonfiction. So examples, literary text examples are Beowulf, Mahabharata for tragedy, romantic tragedy. I believe you are known to Romeo and Juliet, and etc. Okay, let's proceed. We have the literary history. So it is the historical development of writings in prose or poetry which attempts to provide entertainment, enlightenment, or instruction to the reader or hearer and observer rather, as well as the development of the literary techniques used in the development of the literary techniques or communications of these pieces. So as you read the history, no, it gives you the idea of time. When we say literary history, every literary text has history behind it, right? We have eras and ages that helps us identify what kind of literary text is indicated or written by the author. Say for example, we have the Romeo and Juliet. I believe that this story was written because of family relations and even conflicts, no, as we can read in the story. Next, we have literary techniques. It refers to any specific deliberate construction or choices of language which an author uses to convey meaning in a particular way. So through using literary techniques, the author can also widen and make the reader feel what he feels. And in using these techniques, no, we can also see that the author wants to relay us a message of his own, and by doing so, no, we can relate to what meaning the author wants to convey to the readers. Okay? So now let's proceed to literary traditions. So it is a collection of works that have underlying interconnectedness and coherence that makes them more than simply group of works, sharing more than geography or time period. So I believe that when we read literary context, it's not just about the history, but it also depicts and helps us know the traditions of such places. Just like the story of Mahabharata, it was um, a product or a literary text from, I believe it is India. And we also have Beowulf. It was written in Old English times, and many more. And also we have the how the world began, on how the world was created, the creation and everything. So through these literary techniques, literary devices that we have discussed, no, it helps us to understand and to really know what it means that literary text is given to us. You as students, no, by analyzing the literary devices stated, the literary history, traditions, techniques, no, we can see on how the author portrays, on how the author expresses his word, no, by using, like for example, the literary context, no, the The author must um, empathize to his readers, not just only thinking of himself, but he must also consider the readers that will receive or read his text. Okay? Okay, to proceed with, let us have the example for literary traditions, no? Excuse me. So we have here the Irish poetry and drama as an example. So it extend over several centuries involving writers with range of voices and preoccupations, and yet it is often thought that they are distinctive Irish. So through these literary traditions, no, people from different parts of the world share their traditions, no, through their written literary texts. Just for example, um, the the story of Romeo and Juliet. It helps us portray that there are um, families, no, the level of families that extends or makes some conflicts in the story, and somehow, no, we tend to forget and um, I mean, we somehow set aside the main the main what do you call this, the main topic or the main theme of the story, because we are so fond of the love story of Romeo and Juliet. But let us not forget that through their literary traditions, it helps them to expose, yes, to convey what it is, what traditions they have, or the beliefs that they have through their written text or the literary text that they make through the stories and everything. So now let's proceed to our group activity. I believe that everyone has learned from our lesson for today about figures of speech and other literary devices. So we have here our instruction. Please group yourselves into five, and I'm going to make you read the story about The Big Sister by Consorcio Borge. And after reading the story, no, you are allowed to analyze and identify the following literary devices, and you are to write your answer in a one whole sheet of paper. So I have here prepared a table as your guide in answering our activity. So here it is. So we are going to fill the spaces. First, you're going to identify the linguistic context, the literary elements, not the literary genre of the story, the literary history, the literary techniques used in the story, and also the literary traditions um, you have related on the story you have read. Okay, please pass. Okay, you are given again 15 minutes to analyze and read the story. Okay, time is up. Please pass your paper forward. I am the one who is going to check your papers, and tomorrow I'm going to give it back to you with your scores, okay? So after reading the story, how does figures of speech affect the reader? Very good. It helps us to imagine more creatively through the help of figures of speech. No? It also helps us on how we can understand what the text really means. Very good. So what is figures of speech? Just as we have discussed, who among you can remember? Okay, very good. It alone helps us to expand the artistic view of the literary text. Very good. Why do we need the literary devices in writing a story? Okay, it helps us understand the literary text better. It also helps us know the background of the story, why it was written and portrayed to the readers. Very good. So please prepare a one half sheet of paper for your quiz. Okay, number your papers from 1 to 5. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. For the essay type. Okay. Okay, time is up. Please pass your papers. So for your assignment, in your short bond paper, write a close analysis and critical interpretation of the story, How the World Began. Okay, so the assignment will be printed, not written, and submitted for tomorrow. So thank you for your active participation, and I believe that it is the end of our class. Thank you and goodbye.